everyone is having a good week, a good day so far. I am having a fabulous day. So I had some good news this morning, so I'm feeling really good. This next video that I'm going to get into is going to be a little heavy for me, a little emotional. So hopefully I can get through this and feel it and get it over with. And there's a little, trigger warning for those of you guys who may get triggered on this, as some of the things that I'm going to say in this video may upset some people. So, moving right along into this video. Around, 15, 16 years old, I met a guy in high school. And we became really good friends. And, we started talking a lot on the phone. My mother noticed and she asked, a little bit about him, and I didn't really say too much, I just told her that I liked him and we were talking. So, this guy, he, everybody knew him in school and he knew everybody, and, he played on the football team when he was in school, and, 16-year-old girl gets, gets her attention, and so we became really good friends and we started talking a lot. He decided to come by my house one day and my mom was home. And so he met my mom, and I did warn him about my mom, just a few little forewarnings. And so he was kind of prepared already. And of course my mom met him, and of course she didn't like him. So, he had, he had the gold chains, and he had his own car, and of course my mom, typical of her, a black guy with jewelry, lots of jewelry, and a car with the way I think she said that it looked like his car. I guess it was I don't know if it was like a Cadillac or something like that. But to her, in her words, oh, he looks like a gangster. He sells drugs. He probably sells drugs. He's a gangster, all that kind of stuff. But that's typical for my mom to say about any kind of black guy that she sees. Because I promise you, if it was any other guy that I brought to meet her, if it was any other race, white, Hispanic, anybody, it would have been fine for her. So she judged him right off the bat. Didn't like him, didn't want me to keep talking to him, but of course I'm going to keep talking to him. A 16-year-old girl, telling a 16-year-old girl you don't like who she likes, that usually causes a kind of rebellion, and it pushes them to that person, and that's basically what it did. So, at this point, my mom doesn't like him, so I'm seeking to see him, any way I could. If I was at friends' homes or friends' houses, I would find a way to see him. And, that's just kind of how it was with me and this guy, and we would always sneak to see each other. As time went on, we were talking for several years, but around like 17 years old, I ended up getting pregnant. So when I got pregnant, I was scared as hell. I'm just gonna be very honest in this video. I was a 17-year-old girl, and I ended up pregnant, and in my situation, in my home life, and it was a scary thing for me. It was scary. I didn't know what to do. I called him, the guy I was seeing. I called him and told him. And of course, you know, an 18-year-old boy, he is not ready for that. He told me he wasn't ready to have a baby and that he didn't want me to have the baby. So, you know, from there I just was confused. I didn't know what to do. I was scared. You know, I told my sisters, and then I told a few close friends that I had, just trying to get some advice, trying to grasp at anything that I could get to feel comfortable and to figure out what I was going to do. And each time I tried to get this advice, it just, nothing helped. Like, I was still in a state of confusion, and I was just scared. Scared, not that I was pregnant. That wasn't the reason why I was scared. I was scared of telling my mother. Like, I was scared of her reaction, of what she was going to do. That's why I was scared. I just could not fathom the thought of me telling her this. So, 17-year-old girl, 17-year-old me, I hid it. I kept it to myself. I just went months without saying anything. I went to school every day, trying to find some type of normal, trying to be normal, trying to feel normal, and literally thinking back, I was going to school, but I was there, but I wasn't there. I was in a daze, just in a state of confusion, and that consumed me. Anxiety. I just had major anxiety, and I was consumed with it, not knowing what to do. Like, I felt like I couldn't go to anybody. Like, nobody was giving me answers, and I needed answers, and I needed help, and I didn't have any help. I just felt alone. I would go to school, and my friends would ask me, did I tell my mom? Did I tell my mom yet? And I would say no, and they would ask me when I was going to tell her, and I just was like, I don't know, I will. And I just kept putting it off. I couldn't. Like, I couldn't say anything. Like, for me, I could not say anything. So breaking away from this, so when I see girls in that situation, and I hear things on the news where girls don't say anything and they just keep the pregnancy to themselves, I understood that. Like, I understand that. The fear that you have being pregnant and a teenager is a fear no one will understand until you're in it, and especially coming from the background that you come from. You're not coming from like a stable, normal home. These are the people that don't understand why some girls do what they do, because you don't come from their background. You don't come from a home from where they come from, so you wouldn't understand. Like, I understand those girls who are fear-ridden, and like, they don't feel like they can tell anyone, and they don't know where to go, so they just keep it to themselves. And in all honesty, you're really just in denial, and you're wanting it to just go away. Like, you don't want to deal with it, the anxiety and the pressure of it all. You can't deal with it, so you just don't want to deal with it, so it doesn't exist. So it's just, you put it out your mind. And this is what I was doing. It got to a point to where, I was going to school, And I was very skinny in high school. I was a very, very skinny child. I was like 90 something pounds in high school. I was like 99 pounds, 98, 99 pounds in high school. So I didn't start showing with my pregnancy until I was like 7.5, 8 months pregnant. I was so skinny. So I can get away with hiding it like that. I knew I couldn't get away with hiding it for very long. I was around 6 months pregnant when before that, I think I was around like maybe 4 months pregnant or so when I decided to call and tell the guy that I was seeing and tell him that I had gotten an abortion. I was so scared. I was scared to tell him that I hadn't gotten an abortion because I knew he didn't want the baby. So I didn't want to be a burden, and I didn't want to upset him to tell him I didn't have an abortion. So I couldn't tell him that. So I decided to lie and just call and tell him I had an abortion and that I wasn't pregnant anymore. So that's what I did. And as time went on, I knew I couldn't keep that lie. So I finally, around 6 months pregnant, I finally called and told him that in actuality I was still pregnant and I never went and had the abortion. He was surprisingly didn't react the way I thought he was going to react. He was shocked, and then he just got over it, and then he just was like, okay, so we're gonna have a baby? So I told him, yes, we're gonna have a baby. So he surprisingly got over it, and then he kind of started to mentally prepare for what was going to happen. I told him I still hadn't told my mom, and I told him I was going to tell her. But, of course, I was too scared to tell. I still couldn't tell her. Time went on, and then one day at school, one of my teachers, and I'll name her here, her name is Mrs. Olmsted, and she is literally an angel on earth. She was one of the best teachers that I've had. She taught home ec, so she taught a cooking class. But who she is, she is a beautiful, beautiful person, and everybody in my high school loved her. All the kids loved her. She loved all the kids genuinely. And she would take kids from the school and have boys night and girls night on different days. And her background, she grew up very poor. She grew up with little money, and she told the story that she had to walk to work every day, and she only had one pair of shoes, and they had holes in them. And she went to work one day, and she worked in a restaurant. She was a waitress, and a guy had came in while she was working, and she served him, and the tip, when she went to go get her tip, I think it was either $100 or $200 or $3. I'm not really sure. It was a huge amount of money. And when she went to tell him, it was a lot of money, he told her that it was hers and to go buy a new pair of shoes. Needless to say, she ended up marrying him, and he was literally her knight in shining armor. He took care of her. They got married, and her wedding present was blueprints, and she got to design her own home and build her own home. And this is the home that she wanted to show us, the kids in school. She wanted to show us the kids who were struggling and the kids who didn't come from much. She wanted us to see what we could have if we worked hard and if we did really well in school. And she wanted to show us that type of lifestyle. And so I remember going to her home. She invited all the girls, and we had once the boys left on one day, the girls would go, and we all went to her house to spend the night. And her house was beautiful. It was gorgeous. And I just remember being there and thinking, I'm going to have a house like this. I'm going to have a house like this. Like, I'm going to live like this. But I'm telling you the story to show you who she is. One day in school, word got back to her that I was pregnant. She pulled me aside and said, Tiffany, is what I'm hearing true? She said, are you pregnant? I looked at her and I just started to cry. And I said yes. And she told me, don't worry, everything's going to be okay. It's not the end of the world. But as she's telling me this, I'm like, you don't know my mom. You don't know my mom. Like, you don't know her. I wish that I could have a mom like you. Like, I literally was thinking, I know it wouldn't be the end of the world if I had a person like you. But the entire time I'm thinking, I'm not telling her, but I'm thinking, you just don't understand. Like, you don't understand. She asked me if I had made plans of what I was going to do, and I told her no, I didn't know what I was going to do. She asked me how far along I was. I told her I was like 7 months pregnant. And then she said I only had a couple months left. I needed to make plans. And she asked if I had, told my mother, and I told her no. Like, no. And she told me I needed to tell my mom, and I knew this. I was telling her I know I have to tell her. She told me a backstory on her daughter. She adopted her daughter, and she told me the story on that. It's a very, very a beautiful story, and sad and beautiful. But she gave me some pamphlets that day, and about adoption, and she told me that was an option that I had if I wanted to go that route. So I took the pamphlets and I told her thank you. And of course, I'm still confused. I'm contemplating on what I'm gonna do. I go back home and go to school every day. I go back home. It was like robotic. It was, like I said, it was like I wasn't in my body. I was somewhere else. Like, I just didn't want to be in my body. I didn't want to be experiencing what I was experiencing at that time. One morning, before school, my mom comes in to the room, and it had to be like 5:30 or so in the morning. She comes into my room where I shared with my sisters, and she grabs me out. She's trying to grab me out the bed, and she's trying to tear my shirt up, like pull it up but tear it off. Like, she's pulling my shirt up, and I'm fighting her to get her away from me. And she's dragging me out the bed. I get out the bed, and she's steady trying to lift my shirt up, and I'm telling her, I'm screaming at her to stop. And then my mom is screaming at me, and she's saying, Tiffany, are you pregnant? Are you pregnant? And she's screaming, are you pregnant? I took everything in me, and I just looked at her, and I said, yes, I'm pregnant. at this point, that was such a relief for me to say yes. Like, it literally felt like everything in my, like the pain and everything in my body just left. Like, to get that out and off my chest, I felt so good at that moment. And I'm sorry, you guys, if you hear that water. That's my cat. She's drinking out of her water fountain, and she's always so loud. But anyways, so that moment I felt really good. But then, as I said that, she's just screaming, why, just screaming at me, why? And I don't have any words to say. Like, I'm standing there and I don't know what to say. And then she's asking, how many months am I? And I tell her I'm 7 months pregnant. She just, she lost it. Like, 7 months pregnant, and she's asking me why I haven't told her. And it's just this crazy question to me. Why I haven't told her. It's why I don't talk to you at all about anything. Like, that ran through my head. I'm like, I can't talk to you about anything because of the reaction that you give me. I can't say nothing without either yelled at, slap, beat, or whatever. This is why I don't speak to you. Like, anything that I say and come to you with, it's always a crazy reaction. So this news of a pregnancy, I was scared as hell. Like, there's no way. I can't even talk to you about little things. To come and talk to you about I'm pregnant at 17, it was beyond my thought. Like, it was just something I knew I couldn't do. So this question of her, why, she's questioning, she's saying, why didn't you come and tell me? Why didn't you come and tell me? I'm standing there and I'm like, I don't know. Like, I had nothing to say. Like, I didn't have anything to say. I was just staying there. And then as she's saying that, she was like, you're out of here. You're out of here. You're not staying in this house. You're getting the hell out of this house. You ain't staying here. I am not raising no grandkids. You're getting the hell out of this house. Go pack your shit, because you're getting out of here. And that's why I didn't say anything. So I'm standing there, and she asked me for his phone number. So I give her the phone number. She's dialing his home. And, at this point, now my anxiety is going through the roof. Like, if I wasn't nervous before, I was just like nervous. I was beyond anything right now. So, forewarning here, this phone conversation that I'm about to disclose, to talk about right now, I don't feel comfortable saying the words that she used. So I'm going to tell you, I'm going to spell the word, and then I'm going to, as I'm saying what she's going to say, I'm just going to say the first letter of the word. So she goes on to call the house, his house. His mother picks up the phone. My mom is screaming. I'm standing there, and she's screaming into the phone, your son got my daughter pregnant. I'm standing here in like anger, embarrassment, and I just wanted it all to go away. As she's screaming at his mom, your son got my daughter pregnant. The next words that come out of her mouth, she says, I ain't raising no nappy-headed baby. Nigger. That was the first time I ever heard her ever use any type of words like that in my life. And when those words came flying out her mouth, like it stung me. She yelled this at his mother. I'm not raising no nappy-headed baby. I don't want no grandchild. You can raise that baby. To hear her say something like that about my baby that I was carrying. It stung and it hurt so bad. And for her to say that as a black woman to another black woman, had me so angry. Like, I don't even think I've ever felt hate the way I felt hate in my heart that day. Like, I hated her. And she kept saying it over and over again on the phone. It's like she wouldn't shut up. She kept saying it over and over again, and I was so embarrassed. She told her, she said, she's getting the hell out of this house. She ain't staying here. You can raise that baby with her. She slams and hangs up the phone. And then she turns and she looks at me and she's like, pack your shit and get out. You're getting out of here. So I go to my room and I start packing my stuff, the things that I had. And my sisters are sitting there and they're just looking. They're asking where I was gonna go. And I told them I didn't know. I didn't tell them I didn't know where I was gonna go. I don't know. My mom calls her boyfriend. And then he gets to the house. I get the stuff that I packed up. And then my mom's telling my sisters, tell your sister goodbye because she ain't coming back here. So I tell him goodbye. And then, I head out the door. I get in the car. And my mom and her boyfriend get in the car. And she tells me to give her his address, the guy I was talking to. So I give her the address and we pull up at his house. And before the car could even go into freaking park, my mom is like already trying to get out the car, and we pull up in the driveway. The guy I was talking to is already outside, and my mom gets out the car just yelling at him, just screaming at him, cursing at him. He's cursing at her back. They're both going at it on the driveway. I get out the car and got my bags and everything, and my mom's boyfriend gets out the car. He's yelling. So you got my mom and her boyfriend yelling at the guy I was talking to, and they're all three yelling, and then his mom comes out the house and is trying to tell them to be quiet because it's literally 7-something in the morning before school, and they're out here just cursing and yelling at each other on a driveway. And I'm standing there like, this can't be life. Like I wanted to disappear. Like I didn't know what. I did not want to be there. I did not want to be in my body at that time. Like I did not want to be there. They finally start to head back to their car. They're still screaming. I'm walking up the driveway, and he's telling me to get in the house. So as we're walking up the driveway, my mom and her boyfriend start to get in the car, and my mom's boyfriend yells back as we're walking up to the house. He yells, "Congratulations, it's a girl." And it was referencing me, like dropping me off to their house. Congratulations. And then they drive off. I walk in the house and I'm extremely embarrassed. And his mother looks at me and she says, "I truly have not seen evil until today." She says, "I truly believe your mother is the devil." And she tried to say, "I'm sorry," and I stopped her right there. I was like, no apologies needed. Everything that you are saying right now, I agree with. I told her I hate her. I was like, I hate my mother. And she looked at me, she says, "She is truly the devil. And I'm sorry that you even had to be raised by somebody like that." She looked at me and she said I could stay there as long as I needed. And she would help me to get whatever I needed and take me to my doctor's appointments and all that stuff. She did. And she gave me everything that I needed. She helped me get everything for the baby. And threw me a baby shower, everything. It was just everything that I needed for my baby. She got it. She helped me get it. So I also want to thank her in this video as well. And just when I thought, it couldn't get any worse than what I went through, I just, thought too soon. So I'm in this video here, and then, next video we'll dive into what I had to go through while pregnant, being there. That's it. That's my story for right now, being pregnant. I don't know. It feels good to get that out though. Only a few people know about that story, but now you guys will know about it. I want to speak to those girls, any girls who find themselves in that type of situation. That it isn't the end of the world, and there's always help. Always help. So from here, I'm just going to end the video here. And I am wishing everybody else a great rest of the day or night whenever you're watching this video. Thank you for watching, and I am sending you guys love and light. Thank you.